everybody, Mo here, and today I'm bringing you guys a VOD review, and this is not clickbait, this is not anything like that, this is true. A Garen deck absolutely demolished Kaisa over the weekend at the final Chinese regional. The final Chinese regional open that was held this last week, Garen was on stream in round 2, which means there was a 1-0 Garen, so the Garen it won its first round. So the broadcast went ahead and put it on stream round 2. It played against a Kaisa, and it destroyed. Unfortunately, our hero did not make day 2. They were not able to close it out and take the ride all the way to day 2 status, but they actually showed a very promising Garen deck, and by that I mean a very promising orange-yellow deck, and you'll see why. I call it that because they don't really use Garen, right? Like, why not just play set? There's a couple of reasons why. I'll get into it in a minute. But yeah, we're just going to jump into the games here. No intro really to do other than, check out my Metafy, all of that fun stuff, coaching down on my Metafy as well, and go subscribe on Metafy. I think we're up to like almost 30 subs now, and subs get a lot of value on Metafy. I've posted 2 scrim sessions between me and my scrim partners on there. That's just for Metafy subscribers. I've posted a VOD review for Metafy subscribers, or 2. By the time this video goes out, there will be 2 VOD reviews for Metafy subscribers, as well as 3 VOD reviews for Metafy subscribers. 2 of them are for Metafy subscribers. There is a chance that you just randomly get selected for a free deck review or VOD review every week. So you just get a chance to have a free like $30 experience on top of the higher tier of the subscribers get a free ticket to my complete like tournament prep stream that I'm going to be doing before the big tournaments start happening in November and December. I'll be hosting a stream that's going to have it's going to have a $40 ticket to sit and watch to it, but what it is, it's going to be a live stream just for Metafy, where I go over what I expect the meta to be, the deck I'm going to be bringing to these big tournaments, what to expect. I'll do Q&A live with the people that are there, as well as going over some deck lists from people in the chat. So you'll link your deck list. I'll go over them. I'll tell you what I would suggest changing for the meta, or what to look out for, how to answer questions. Basically, a really big stream helping to prepare for these really big tournaments that are happening, these 10Ks, the 20K tournaments, the official Riot tournament once that one gets announced, and all that fun stuff. They get a free ticket into that, that's already $40 of value that they're just getting a free ticket to, and a whole bunch of other stuff. So go check that out. There's a lot of value if you are looking to become a competitive top Riftbound player. A lot of people have gotten a lot of value out of it. On top of, I've gotten some coaching discounts, all that fun stuff. Go check that out. That's enough yapping for the intro. We're gonna watch the game. We're gonna watch this on 2x speed, and we're going to see exactly why and how Garen absolutely dismantled Kaisa. It's an Aurora deck. It's an Aurora Garen deck, right? So we saw that they put out Aspirant's Climb in game 1. If I'm against any deck that is orange and plays Aspirant's Climb, I'm just going to assume it's Aurora. If I see any deck put out Aspirant's Climb, I'm just going to assume it's a really slow, grindy, maybe control style deck. And then if they're in orange, that just leads me to believe that they're probably in Aurora. We see in the Garen's opening hand here, they have a Snapvine, a Catalyst, Salvage, and then a Challenge. You just push 2 back and try and find your Aurora. When you are the Garen player, so okay, it looks like they did put 2 back, so that was post their mulligan. Oh no, here we go, because we have Confront and we have an Aurora. So we put 2 back, we found the Aurora, we have Catalyst. I think we are going first as the Garen player, we are. So yep, the hand is now Blade Flurry, Confront, Catalyst, and Aurora. So you can just easily Confront on turn 1, draw a card. Very simple stuff. Kaisa player here has 3 runes, they're going second. They have a 2-drop. They're just going to be able to do the Kaisa thing where they're going to play units, say go ahead. Garen gets to immediately Catalyst because we're on first. And I actually have found out that going first with Aurora is actually much better than going second, even though your Aurora odds are worse, if that makes sense. So let me pull up my spreadsheet for you guys. And this is the reason. So I've looked at Garen Aurora before, or like set Aurora, orange, yellow Aurora, whatever you want to call it before. But the main reason I stopped, here you go, is this. So these are your odds of casting Aurora in the different sets. So in Misfortune, you have an 80%. It's like a 78, 79% chance, like 78% chance of having an Aurora on turn 4. So almost always have it on turn 4. And then you have, it's like a 48% chance of having it on turn 3. So this is going second. So going second, you have about 50% chance of having it on 3, 80% chance on 4. Sets odds are the worst out of all of them. or basically the yellow odds, the not green odds. Winston, what are you doing? Get out of there. The not green or not purple odds have the worst because you don't have a lot of ways to like ramp or draw additional cards other than just what orange has really already in the base set. So your odds of doing a turn 3 Aurora is like 34, 35%, and then your odds of a turn 4 Aurora are still only like 67%. The difference is in yellow is once you have your Aurora set, you like automatically win the game because you get to play these really good yellow units. You get to play dragons, you get to play all the orange immediate impact the board units. You get, this person is playing 2 Ledros, so your units will always come in and impact the board outside of the like 2 Ledros that you play. So you're always killing stuff. You're always coming in with a big tempo play off of the Aurora. And the big thing is you get Divine Judgment, which we will see here in one of these games, where Divine Judgment is a 7 energy card. I think it's like 7 energy, 2 power, and it's a yellow, 2 yellow power, and it basically just says each player each player goes down to 2 of everything. So you go down to 2 units, you go down to 2 runes, you go down to 2 cards in hand. So that's really good if you're against a wide board. You knock them down to 2 units, usually. And you go down to 2 gear. So the reason it's really good in Aurora is because you have your gear out, you're kind of cheating out on units always. And everyone's going down to 2 runes, which means your opponent can't play their really big, expensive end-game stuff. They can't play their Watcher, their Mundo, their Dragons, their Dead Blooms, their Aurora even. You know, they can't play their big stuff in the end game. They can't even play a 5 energy card after the turn that they get hit with this Divine Judgment. So it's really good, right? So this is kind of why I sat away from set. This is actually the graphic I wanted to pull up. The graphic I wanted to pull up is to why going first is better in Aurora. This is like a small tangent, then we'll get back to the specific game, or match at hand, is here. So going first Aurora maths, this is, we ran 200,000 sims on both sides. So, and this is for specifically Misfortune. So Misfortune going first, your turn 3 Aurora odds are really bad. It's like 11.5% compared to like, almost 50%, like 48.5%. That's a huge difference. And then your turn 4 Aurora is, your turn 4 Aurora goes from being, you're 79% going third, 11.5% going first. Your turn 4, you go from an 80% chance to a 70% chance. And this is again with the Misfortune version. So Misfortune version is like max chances to get the Aurora, right? So with your set version where you already have lower odds, your lower odds of getting a turn 3 cast is going to be like effectively 0. Like to get a turn 3 Aurora cast while going first is going to be like confront on, or sorry, not confront, it's gonna be like mobilize turn 1 to go to 3, catalyst on turn 2 to go to 7, and then have Aurora. So like 3 of your first, you have to have exactly mobilize in your first hand, so you have to have mobilize in your top 4 cards or 5 cards, and then after mulligan, right? So you have to have a mobilize and a catalyst and an Aurora. Mobilize has to be in your top 5, catalyst has to be in your top 6, and then Aurora can be in your top whatever, right? At least in your top 7. So it's, odds are not great to turn 3 in Aurora. It can still happen. We watched a Volleybear do it where they just had triple mobilize and then like accidentally cast an Aurora on turn 3 2 weeks ago, I think. So it can happen. It's just not as likely. The difference though is you get these huge tempo swings. So we saw here, turn 1, we did nothing. We like drew a card. Turn 2, we ramped into 6 runes. Well, we had 8 runes on turn 3. Notably, 8 runes is not 9, which is why we can't cast the Aurora. But the Kaisa opponent can only play, can only get 1 point here. So we're stopping them from getting a lot of points because we have all of this other tempo swing. Like they're forced to play this Sprite Mother if they want to actually cap out on max points here. And then even with that play, they get rid of their blue energy, so that way they can't play another Sprite Mother next turn. They're having to recycle power super early, so they're only on 6 runes next turn. It's going to be harder for them to cast their bigger stuff or do like Darius plays or Kaisa plays, because having to spend power is actually fairly hard for you. So Garen here goes up to 8, and this is something that's super sick. So we have another Confront in hand we just ripped off the top. If we didn't have Confront, you can't really afford to play a Snapvine or a Dead Bloom here, which is something that a lot of people do, and that's a huge mistake, especially when you know you have the Aurora in your hand, you can just play this Garen in your backline, your chosen champion Garen. It is 6 energy, 1 power, and playing the 1 power going from 8 to 7 still lets you play Aurora on 9 next turn, but you already have a unit to be able to attack, start getting points, or at least start playing for, you know, like board tempo, maybe force out a falling star from the opponent's Kaisa. But because we have Confront, and because this Garen only has 1 power cost to it, we can play the Confront, play the Garen, it comes in readied, and you swing in for 7 because Garen has Assault 2 and Shield 2. And the really sick thing here, and I don't know if this was mathed out like on purpose, I would assume it is, I would assume these players do this, but the way this works is attacking for 7 is such a huge number, because it's such a good breakpoint. I should rephrase. It's such a good breakpoint because the student is only a 2 might unit. If the Kaisa has a smoke screen that they have to use here, one, that opens it up so your future Dead Blooms and Snapvines off of Aurora are a lot less bad because your opponent is -1 smoke screen, and that's the best card into them that can actually stop them. But even without smoke screen, if it's just Void Seeker, which we're going to see them get Void Seeker here, 7 trades with the student always, because if it's smoke screen, it moves your 7 down to 3, student goes up to 3, so you're still trading with the student. If they have Void Seeker here, it's going to deal 4 to the Garen to put him down to 3 HP, and the student goes up to 3 HP, or sorry, goes up to 3 might. So they always trade, and you just stop your opponent from holding. You stop your opponent from getting another point. So now it is turn 4, or sorry, it's turn 3 for the Kaisa opponent, and they are at 3 points now, and that's it. They can accelerate a Kaisa to push it onto a battlefield if they really want to, which is what they're going to do. But because they don't have the smoke screen in their hand, they don't have a defensive spell. If the Garen player, even if they just don't have the Aurora in play, if all they do is just simply go, okay, I don't have Aurora, play a Snapvine, play a Dead Bloom onto the Kaisa, it's still just trading with the Kaisa. But the opponent's on 4 points on turn 3, which is one of the best openers that they can have. It's one of the most aggressive openers. They basically had turn 1 unit, which is, you know, good, and then they went accelerate turn 2, accelerate turn 3 with 2 units after we interacted with it. So this is like legitimately the most aggressive point-based opener that a deck can have, and it's still not going to be enough. We play Aurora on turn 4 here. We had the ramp, we have the Aurora. We're immediately going to hit a Snapvine, I think. Yeah, we immediately hit a Snapvine. The opponent does have 3 runes open. This is a mistake that I don't really like. With 3 runes, the issue with Snapvine and why it's not too great into Kaisa is because if they have a smoke screen here, they just kill your Snapvine and your -1 unit. However, we go to target the Sprite Mother here instead of the Kaisa, which I'm not sure about. That doesn't actually change anything. If it's smoke screen, your Snapvine still dies. The only difference of targeting the Sprite Mother versus targeting the Kaisa is like double Stupefy makes you trade, or like triple Stupefy makes you sad, sure. But I don't think I'm really playing around double Stupefy my opponent's hand, so I'm down to just like shoot the Kaisa and tell my opponent like, hey, you don't get to have a Kaisa in play anymore. But it's fine, right? Like, they don't have it, so we have a Snapvine here. Also, if this Snapvine was just a Dragon just comes into play, kills the Kaisa, that's fine. Like, it's the same size body, but it just automatically kills the unit. Snapvine is like one of the worst units you could have pulled there because they had runes open, and it still didn't matter because they didn't have it, right? And we're still going to be in a good spot as the Garen player. And now you're going to see kind of how this Garen runs away with it. So again, the Kaisa player is literally maxed out on points and has been the most aggressive possible. They even have the Falling Star here to immediately kill the Snapvine. You know, they're not going to get to attack in with Snapvine. They ready the Darius. They go up to 6 points. You know, we're at 6 points into a 9-point game, really. So we're not even too far away. Like, we're not threatening lethal next turn. And when you're this Aurora player, we did high roll and have 2 Auroras here, which is quite sick. But you're fine because your opponent can't win next turn. Just take advantage of it. And this is why I had a lot of high hopes that this Aurora player would go far, because they actually understand how to play Aurora. They truly understand how the deck is supposed to function, where its strengths are, when to play it. They hit the Snapvine off the top. Snapvine comes in and kills the Darius. Again, this could have been literally any unit in our deck. The only low roll potential we had here was to rip exactly Ledros into Ledros, which, you know, fortunately we didn't hit. Also, I want to explain something here. I think they're resolving Aurora wrong here. When you have 2 Auroras in play, how it works is they're banishing these cards, right? These cards are called like temporary cards or something off the Aurora. the reason they did this is because when you have two Auroras, what happens is the first Aurora trigger, they both go on the stack. The first one resolves, it hits a unit, whatever, right? That unit gets like banished or put off to the side as like a temporary item or whatever it's called in this game. It gets pushed off to the side. And then the second Aurora now has to resolve because these units can't be played and things can't be put like onto chains in the middle of chains or something like that. I don't quite fully understand it, but I know that you don't actually resolve the units one at a time like this. So what should have happened here is we resolve the first Aurora. That will put the Dead Bloom go off to the side. Second Aurora resolves. You hit the second unit, which is a second Dead Bloom, off to the side. And then now you play both units. So both units come back onto the chain. Come back onto the chain and you play both units. And actually, because they are both Dead Blooms, you would actually play both Dead Blooms you can play both Dead Blooms in the battlefield at the same time. So this way, if your opponent had something like a smokescreen, you still kill the Darius and conquer the point, which I guess you do anyways, because what they end up doing is they like smokescreen the first one, it dies, and then you hit a second one, it goes there and it wins. So it's essentially the same outcome, but it makes a big difference if you're trying to kill something that's like 9 might, for example, right? Like let's say they had a 9 might Mundo, or they were able to pump the Darius up even bigger to where like these individual Dead Blooms don't kill it because it's bigger than 8, but the two Dead Blooms together is 16, and that does get there. I'm trying to find let me find the actual image from the judge call effectively, or not the judge call, but like the judge explanation that goes over it and says exactly why it works like that, and why it is played in 2 separate chains, because we specifically talk about the double snapvine here. So, okay, here it is. Let me open up this link for you guys. So what happens here is, is you go to the end of your turn. Both your Aurora triggers are placed on the chain. The chain is Aurora trigger, Aurora trigger. So we have priority check before moving to resolution. That's fine. The first Aurora resolves now and reveals a Dead Bloom. Dead Bloom is banished and then is placed on the chain, right? So the other Aurora still has to resolve because the Dead Bloom is placed on the chain, like you play the unit on the chain, but the other stuff has to resolve. You can't like resolve other units or other things before what's already on the chain, and then you can't have like a showdown in the middle of chains, from what I understand. So the Dead Bloom gets banished, gets pushed onto the chain. So now the chain is your second Aurora trigger, and then your Dead Bloom. So there is no priority check because Dead Bloom is a unit. So you play Dead Bloom to an occupied battlefield. Now, you would normally start a combat or a showdown, but you cannot until you fully resolve the current chain, because a showdown cannot start while there's a chain going on. So again, what happens is because Dead Bloom is a permanent, it's a unit, it doesn't stay on the chain forever. So it doesn't really stay on the chain to create a priority window. So first Aurora resolves. It reveals a unit. The unit gets played. But a showdown cannot start because there is a chain currently going on right now, right? So the second Aurora trigger has to resolve before combat can start. And so when that Aurora resolves, you have your second unit. Now the second unit comes out the Aurora, and you have to play that unit, right? Like you put that unit onto wherever you can play it because it's on the chain. It falls off the chain immediately because it's a permanent. So the chain is empty, and you can go to the beginning of combat with Battlefield with the Dead Bloom. Is all that's the last part here. Here's the thing, is when you play the second unit, it says if another unit, or if this second unit is a Dead Bloom, you can place it at the same battlefield. Otherwise, you have to follow the usual rules for playing units, meaning you have to play the unit at a battlefield you control or in your base. So you don't control the battlefield that your Dead Bloom is at, your first Dead Bloom. You don't control it. Your opponent controls it. That's why you're the attacker, right? So you're the attacker because you're trying to take it back from them. But because the second unit is a Dead Bloom, you follow its rules for playing it, and you can play it to an occupied enemy battlefield. So you can actually play both Dead Blooms to this battlefield here. So that's something I want to clear up. This also matters a lot in Master Yi. If you have two Auroras in play, if the first one is a Dead Bloom like this, and you put the Dead Bloom on the battlefield, and then your second unit is a dragon, then your dragon will come out before the combat thing starts, or if it's a snap vine, right, into a dragon, then your dragon will actually buff up your other unit by +8 before, or like as the showdown thing is like happening, I'm pretty sure. So that one I have to get double confirmation on, but I'm pretty sure that's how that works. I like this though. I like putting both dead blooms onto the battlefield. Your opponent's only at 5 runes, only at 5 runes, so they can only go to 7 next turn. Because they've recycled so much power, they recycled because they had to play a Sprite Mother on turn 2 to get all of the tempo, or the point tempo. Then they recycled for Kaisa on turn 3, then recycled for Darius on turn 4. Like, we've recycled a rune every single turn, so we've only been ramping 1 a turn. Because of that, the Garen opponent, the Aurora opponent, doesn't have to actually worry about an accelerated Watcher coming in for effectively 10, or Watcher coming in for what would be 13, so putting the dead blooms down to 5 each, so they defend for 10, but then the Kaisa player is attacking for 11 with Kaisa and the Watcher. And you then have to decide, like, do you want to leave the Kaisa alive and let your opponent draw a card, leave the Kaisa alive, kill the bigger unit, so that way you don't have to deal with the big unit, but then your opponent's Kaisa draws a card. Or you kill the Kaisa so they don't draw a card, but now you're leaving a 7-mite unit in play, which a Snapvine is just going to automatically die to. But this is why this deck is so powerful and why it wins the game. So we recycled 2 yellows, we played Divine Judgment. This is the card I talked about earlier. So both players are going to sacrifice down to 2 units, 2 gears, 2 runes, and 2 cards in hand. They both only have 2 units, so the unit part doesn't really affect the Kaisa player nearly as much. But we saw in hand, they had Watcher, they had Cleave, they could have a Mundo, like all of these end game, late game stuff that you need to get rid of these Aurora decks, Aurora stops. And the big thing is the Kaisa player's drawn a lot of cards. They've played cards, but they still have 6 cards in their hand, or 5 cards in their hand. So they're still discarding like 3 cards, right? That's kind of absurd that they're getting recycled that. They're going down to 2 runes. And then here's the thing. They are both at 2 units, but because we have Auroras in play, in fact, we have 2 Auroras in play, we're actually just going to be going to 4 units. So even here, one of the cards we had left was a fight spell. We had a challenge, so we just immediately challenged away the Kaisa. So our opponent is going to be going to their turn with just a Yordle in play into our triple Dead Bloom, and then I think we hit a dragon here. No, we hit a Ledros. So we have 4 units in play. Our opponent has 4 runes in play and 3 cards in hand. Like, what are they going to do? They kept the Watcher because, like, you're not going to win the game without a Watcher, so you kind of have to keep it, even though you're only on 2 runes, so I respect it. And they kept the Cleave, which, again, makes sense. You're not going to probably win the game without, like, a Cleave or a Watcher of some sort. And then so now, we're just going to simply come back. The Garen player has no issues with the rest of this game. We're just going to skip forward a bit to a really insane part. But yeah, we're going to conquer some points, do some stuff. We hit 2 dragons here, so we're going to kill off both units that the Kaisa player has. The Kaisa player looks absolutely ridiculously miserable. We get 2 points here, go up to 6. It's immediately 6-6. The Garen player does something insanely sick here, which is pulls all 6 units back. All of the units back. And then they find 2 more units here. They hit their second Ledros, and then they hit like a dragon, or they hit a Snapvine, which doesn't do anything. But here's the absolutely disgusting, crazy thing that happens. And of course, this doesn't matter, because at this point, if you're able to be conquering with 4 units alive in the Aurora Garen deck, you've probably already won, right? Like, we can agree on that. Like, he didn't win because he triggered this Aurora. But, oh, sorry, I'm gonna lower my desk a little bit there. But this is so insane because the untaps, the Kaisa player has nothing. The Garen player has 8 units in play, and you can't stop them. So they conquer with 4 on one battlefield. They draw 2 off of Garen, and then conquer on 4 on the other side and draw 2 off of Garen. We just saw 2 successful Garen activations in the same game in Aurora Garen. And I actually just don't think they have any units left, so they just shuffle everything forever. And the game's over, right? Like, they got Aurora on turn 4 with Divine Judgment, and then they had, like, an accelerated Garen come out that only cost 1 power to do. Yeah, the Kaisa player's just laughing because he's like, wow, I can't believe that I'm losing to Garen, like, on stream even, which is just, like, so absurd. So, yeah, game is over. We can kind of skip here. I think it's, like, just literally over from this point. And then we go to game 2. So the cool thing about this that I wanted to point out was that the Garen player, we saw a bunch of cards in their hand in game 1 that just like didn't really do anything in the Kaisa matchup, which makes me think that like either one, they do things in the Kaisa matchup and like we just aren't aware of it or thinking about it yet, or two, the sideboard probably has extra Kaisa tech in it even, because we have these cards like Salvage that we saw in the main deck that didn't really do a whole lot for us. We saw the what's it called, the like Blade Flurry, I think is like the 1 energy deal 1 to all battlefield card that doesn't sound like it should do anything against Kaisa, right? So we can sideboard those cards out. Very surprising enough, we get to the mulligan phase here. They don't really show us mulligans, they just show us opening hands. And the Kaisa player is going first this time. They're not letting Garen go second. We have extra runes. So Garen is going second with 4 runes as an Aurora deck. Sometimes you just accidentally go Catalyst turn 1. You're on 6 runes. Turn 2, you have turn 3, you have an Aurora because you just like ramped 1 time and you like win the game. Even if you just have a Mobilize, you don't even need a Catalyst. You could just go like Mobilize, draw a card, and that's almost even better because you still got the ramp you needed, but then you also digged? I don't know. You got to dig deeper in your deck to find the Aurora, right? So we see here we mulliganed away. Again, I don't know how many cards they didn't really show us. I'm going to try and get a pause. I hate doing this on 2 times speed because it's kind of difficult. We're going to back up just a little bit here. I think right here looks fine. And then we're going to see we're on 4 runes. So maybe they show us again once they go to play the Confront. So it looks like we have a Dragon, Confront. I didn't see a ramp spell. I think I did see the Aurora. Oh, here we go. Cool. So yeah, we have Salvage, we have Fight Spell, we have Challenge, Salvage, Blade Flurry, Dragon, and Aurora. So here's the thing, is we still have the Salvage and we still have the Blade Flurry in our hand, which is kind of interesting, because that means that they either want them in this matchup or want them in this deck to help with some sort of consistency issue or something that we don't know about, which is why you might want the Salvage to draw cards. But the Blade Flurry was the thing to me that was like, why is this in our deck? This deck doesn't do anything. And this is why I watch... this is why they say like you were given 2 eyes and 1 mouth so you can watch as much or twice as much or hear twice as much instead of yapping or something like that. I don't know. But I learned a lot from here. And like, this was amazing. This was super eye-opening to the point to where I actually think I might start main decking Blade Flurries in my decks, even in like my Misfortune deck. Because we look at this, and so the Kaisa opponent went first. They played their unit on turn 1. They don't conquer turn 2 here. I'm not quite sure why. I don't know if they just like forgot or what the reasoning was for. They stupefy their own unit to effectively cycle and make their hopeful cost less. They didn't conquer, but here's the thing. Even if they did go up to conquer with this student, the thing is like, we're going to see it in a turn. They put student onto the battlefield that says your units take 1 more damage. You want to do that as your Kaisa, right? Because you're going to force your opponent to interact with you on that battlefield, because that does nothing but just like benefit you, because you're going to start shooting things. You're going to start shooting things for a lot of might. But here's the absolutely insane tech that no one really saw. So we have Mobilize, we have the ramp, we have 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So we found the ramp to be able to turn 3 our Aurora. That's all you needed. You just need your Aurora. You need a singular ramp rune, and you get there, right? Here is the crazy thing that opened up my third eye, right? So we tap all of our mana here as the Kaisa player if we have it all floating. And here's the thing. We attacked with the student onto the battlefield that does +1 damage to spells, right? That we thought about. You know, like I said, you want to fight on it. Blade Flurry now deals 2 damage. Student only has 2 might. And there aren't spells that Kaisa can play at reaction speed that don't decrease might. So there will always be net neutral on the student. So even here, look, this guy knows immediately. He was ready for it. He knows the tech. He knows the matchup. This guy has the knowledge. Of course, I was still wondering why we're not playing set, you know, but he has the knowledge. The judge didn't even realize it. My boy played Blade Flurry, and the judge put out 1 damage counter on the student. Immediately, this guy went, no, it's 2. And the judge went, and the Kaisa players like pointing at the battlefield and was like, yeah, damage spells get +1. And the judge goes, oh, okay, yeah, sure. Like another one, -1. The judge does not even see it. The judge does not understand. Because you don't need to do this. You don't need to put 2 damage counters on something with 2 might. That's not how that works. The unit just dies. It resolved. The unit dies. And they're both just staring at this unit like, what's going on? This Garen is a genius. Like, look. The Kaisa player's looking. He's just like, yo, it's like dead. He's like, I'm just making sure it's dead. You can take your counters. The judge didn't even understand. The Garen player's big vibing. He's big chilling. He's leaned back, hands in his lap, just straight up relaxing, chilling out, maxing, relaxing, all kicking it. You know, he's doing some blade flurries, like he's chilling. And then yeah, you come in with your hopeful, and nothing can be done. If you wanted to, here's the Garen player, you could like have a removal spell for it, like the Hidden Blade, but that costs you a power, and then you can't Aurora next turn. Like this tech is just so, this shows you stuff like that this person knows the matchup. Like they know this matchup for sure. They've learned about it. So what are we recycling for, by the way? I don't know what this judge call is about. There's like a 3-minute judge call over I don't know what. I don't know if it's a mana discrepancy or something, but we spent 2 energy on the confront, or sorry, on the mobilize, which put out 1 more tapped energy, and then we spent 1 energy on a blade flurry. So we should have 4 tapped runes, and we should be at 7 total, going to 9. So I don't really know what this rune discrepancy like judge call thing is. I think they tell him to tap all of his runes or something. I'm just like truly not sure what this judge call is about, because when we come back into the game, yeah, I was gonna say, when we come back into the game, they don't have to tap everything. I don't know what the point of the judge call was, but yeah, it resolves. Our Kaisa player plays this really big 7 might unit. We've seen this tech, or I think it's 8 might, sorry. 7 energy, 8 might, just vanilla unit, no power cost. We've seen this tech before. We saw this tech in Apatu's game, or Ace's game, which, you know, in their deck, they played it. Just because big unit is good, right? Like, big unit is how you combat big units. Like, it helps in the Yi matchup. Just having these nice big units that don't cost power, so you're not deramping yourself. You can still play Watcher on time. And here we go. We just have the turn 3 Aurora. And you know that all but 2 units in your deck immediately impact the board. You're tapped out. So we're either going to hit a Dead Bloom, which is going to come in and kill your unit. We're going to hit a Snapvine, which comes in and kills your unit on the battlefield, like knocks it hopeful. Or we hit a Ledros, which is the worst hit we can have. The nuttiest thing here would have been that we hit a Dragon and just obliterate your 8 might unit out of nowhere. We just send it to the Shadow Realm and said, nice turn. We essentially time walk you and say you spent your entire turn doing nothing. But we didn't hit that. We low rolled, you know, in a sense, and hit Ledros. Even here, if you're playing set, this Ledros is probably a Karma, and then you get to buff your Karma because and then it can't die. And Karma's a 6 might unit when buffed, I think. I think she's a 6 mana 5. Technically a 6 mana 6 because she gets buffed, and then she can't die, which means that they can't even get like Falling Starred. Of course, your Ledros isn't getting Falling Starred either because it's a Ledros. Like, your opponent is not going to be, it has deflect 1 if you don't know what Ledros does. So your opponent is not going to be recycling half of their runes. It could be really heads up if you think you're going to get Divine Judgmented again, to be honest, to just go like, you know, like, screw it, dude. I'm just going to smokescreen your Ledros, Falling Star it. Sure, I'll go down to 3 cards in hand and like 3 runes, but you were going to Divine Judgment me anyways. You know, that could be a tech. But yeah, you look at this guy's hand, this Kaisa player's hand, it's Falling Star, Hexray, which I don't know why that's in our deck still. That should have been sideboarded out for sure. A draw 2 greedy card that Kaisa deck shouldn't be playing, and then Smokescreen and Cleave. These cards don't do anything. Cleave is good, like when you're attacking into the unit, I guess. That's a good card. Falling Star doesn't do anything. We saw the opponent's deck, dude. They play 1 unit, 2 units, I guess, because the Dragon is also 6 might. That died to Falling Star, sure, but you're trading 9 total energy and then a power to kill what was effectively a free Dragon because we got it off of Aurora. Like, your 7 might, or 8 might 7, you know, energy unit still just died. Like, it died for free. And you still have to recycle a rune to the, what is it called? To the Falling Star to kill the Dragon. I think all we do is we just like draw 2 cards here and try and like find our way out of it. So we get our runes. Oh, do we not even draw 2 cards? Or we just pass with full mana open? I see, because we're going to try and combat this Ledros. So I guess that checks out. Here we have Fight Spell. We have Dragon to just kill something. We have a bunch of units on our hand, which is like kind of unfortunate, but also not the worst thing ever. So the opponent has, what is this, like 8, 10 runes, 9 runes or something? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Yeah, 9 runes total. Sorry, playback speed will go back to 2x. So 9 runes total. That's a lot of stuff they can do. Really, we know that they can have like Smokescreen Hex Ray, which is 7 might swing. So we're gonna play Dragon. We're just gonna shoot the bunny, call it a day, and then you can just move like. I understand this play of like Ledros onto the other battlefield, not named deal 1 damage, +1 damage, but like low key, I don't even know if I care. Like, if they because Ledros is a 9. I don't even think Ledros is an 8, by the way. I think Ledros is a 9. Let me double check. I'm pretty sure Ledros is a 9 might unit. No, it is an 8. It's a 6 energy 8. Okay. I thought it was a 9 might unit for some reason. But yeah, because 8 might would make it die to the Smokescreen plus Hexray. So, oops. Smokescreen plus Hexray, which would be quite sad, but your opponent would have to recycle 1, 2, 3, 4. So 3 runes in Kaisa. You only go down to 6. They can still accelerate Watcher next turn. So yeah, this play is good. I like this play. I think if your Ledros didn't die to exactly that, you're perfectly fine. Plus, you know that like the other reason I don't mind going in for that attack is because of 2 things. One, if your opponent does in fact go like Hexray or Smokescreen Hexray on the Ledros to kill it, they have to recycle a lot because of the power cost, and then your Ledros dies. But the thing is you know that every single unit in your deck outside of Ledros will then kill this Hopeful on your turn still. Because imagine if you hit a Snapvine here, right? If you hit a Snapvine here, it's not looking too great. Like, you're still winning because you just have like 2 ginormous units in play your opponent can't deal with. But what happens is they just Smokescreen the Snapvine. They don't have to recycle any cards because they just have Kaisa power pay for it. And now you're just like minus a Snapvine, and that feels kind of bad. And then Dead Bloom is like the same as Ledros because they both have Deflect. We top deck into a second Smokescreen. Oh, third Smokescreen. Sorry. That's right, because we drew 2 cards. We have triple Smokescreen, notably 0 units. And this is why I just absolutely, with my whole chest, hate these Kaisa decks. Like, these greedy Kaisa decks, man. They just got rid of so many units to where they're like, cleaves and stuff aren't good. They're playing all these draw cards. And then now look what happens. You just like don't have units to do stuff with. You don't have these units. Like, we have the Hexray in our hand for some reason, you know? Like, I hope we didn't take out the Sprite Mothers and keep in the Cleaves and Hexrays, right? Or keep in the Hexrays for and the draw cards. Like, you don't need that. You're looking at this hand with no units. Even if you had units, the only unit that matters in this spot is exactly Darius and exactly Watcher. If you don't have exactly Darius or exactly Watcher in your hand, then this doesn't matter because you're like having to recycle power to kill this Ledros. You gave -4, you're going to give Kaisa +1 or +3, sorry. So your Kaisa's coming in for 7 into 4. Like, you get your card draw, you get your stuff, you're at 4 points. But like, again, our Aurora champion here is on like 2 dragons in hand. We have, you know, you've used 2, or so you haven't used 2 Smokescreens, but oh no, I just ruined everything. Sorry, I think we're about here. Oh, look at that. That was perfect. That was perfect. Yeah, so you've used the, like, a Smokescreen already, which kind of, like, clears the path. We still only have units in our deck that kill things. We have units in our hand that kill things. We have the, you know, the, what's it called? I can't think. The Dead Blooms, right? Dead Blooms is going to come down, and yes, you're going to have Smokescreen, but, like, what are you going to do? You're not going to double Smokescreen this thing. So you're going to Smokescreen, recycle a power to trade with your Kaisa. We're just going to conquer both battlefields here. Be happy. Like, it's 3 to 4 points. Like, my guy, this is not a winning spot. They finally draw the Darius, which is, like, again, effectively one of the only 2 units in your deck that do anything. So we did top deck one of the best answers. We have Darius. They Falling Star, or sorry, we hit a another dragon off of the Aurora, which there wasn't anything to hit with that. So they play the Darius. Darius comes in. We can cleave the Darius. Comes in for 10. Sure, again, you can kill something. Sounds good, man. You're going to kill my... you had to invest cleave, Darius, and Falling Star to kill my Snapvine. Or sorry, not Falling Star, but Smokescreen to kill my Dead Bloom. Like, sounds good. That sounds perfectly fine to me, right? And that's all 3 smokescreens used, because I believe we smokescreened... Oh, sorry, I think I skipped a little bit too far ahead. So I think what happened was we played Dead Bloom. It gets smokescreened. They trade. And then we hit a Dead Bloom off of the... Yeah, we hit a Dead Bloom off of the... What's it called? I think. So here we do this. And I think we smokescreen it again to make it a 4. Nope, it's just 10 into 8. So we've used Cleave, Falling Star, and Darius to remove 2 units. So we went 3 for 2. Not bad. But, like, again, every unit in our deck, you have 1 rune up. We know you can't smokescreen again. Every unit in our deck kills this Darius. On top of the fact that we just have challenge in our hand to fight the Darius. And, like, we just have another Dead Bloom. So we just, like, play the Dead Bloom, kill the Darius, call it a day, hit Dragon. Here's the thing, though, that I actually don't mind, is I don't actually hate, because I think we have a Ledros in hand. Yeah, so we have Ledros in hand, right? So because we are tracking our deck, if you're the Garen player, you know that 100% of the cards in your deck left are either a Dragon or a Snapvine, both of which are going to come down and immediately kill the Garen. So you don't actually have to invest in this Dead Bloom play. You can just play the, like, personally, I would just play the Ledros out. Like, I would just sack 6 power and, like, play the Ledros. Or you can just play the Dead Bloom. Oh, wait, it can't be a dragon. So you know it has to be, or sorry, yeah, it has to be a dragon. And I would just play the, like, Dead Bloom in base, or I would just play the Ledros in base and just, like, sack my power and call it a day. Because you know, like, here, we flipped over a dragon, it doesn't have a target. Like, you know you're hitting something off the top here that is either a dragon or a Snapvine that's going to kill the Darius. Don't worry about it. They do find the Mundo. We've been sandbagging a dragon in our hand the whole time. So we hold for 5, we go up to 8, or sorry, we go up to 7. And now the opponent has to find a way to stop both places from holding. And then we top deck the Divine Judgment, which is just like the cherry on top, like game over. You knock them down to 2 runes, and how does your opponent stop you from holding 2 battlefields on 4 runes when you have like 15 plus power on each one, right? Like, that doesn't work. Like, yes, we had to sacrifice a dragon, which is actually hilarious. It's actually hilarious that we had to sacrifice a dragon. But it, like, is what it is. We get to shuffle it back into our deck, or like recycle it to the bottom of the deck. And then, yeah, you tell your opponent, hey, dude, you have 4 runes. Like, find a way to do stuff. I will say we also had challenge in our hand, so if we wanted to, we could, we had 2 runes open. We could have just challenged the 3 might unit and just said, like, go away, or we could have kept an orange thing alive, so if there randomly is something here, we can just fight it with the challenge. But yeah, this is disgusting. Like, that was gross. And then, like, we get a little Garen flex for the camera. He holds it up. Guy's super happy about it. But yeah, this was awesome. Seeing Garen win and seeing Garen absolutely just dismantle Kaisa. I still think you should probably be playing Set. Like, Set's just a better version of this deck, strictly. But it is, like, regardless, sick to see Garen do well and to find a deck that can carry even Garen. So if it can carry Garen, imagine if you played it in Set, how much better the deck could be, right? So yeah, Aurora is good into Kaisa. Who knew? Kaisa overall had a rough weekend, or a, you know, air quotes, rough weekend for Kaisa, which is very good. That means that the meta is developing, the meta is adapting to Kaisa, and Kaisa players are not adapting well enough, or maybe we adapted too well to Kaisa, and it's not this, like, tier 0 monster, 30% play rate, win every single tournament, 25%, you know, conversion rate, all this bullshit that everyone thought, like, oh, meta solve, just play Kaisa, just play Yi, blah blah blah. This top 8 was extremely diverse. We had 5 different decks. No, 4, 5. Yeah, we had 5 different decks in top 8, I believe, if I'm not mistaken. We had, like, oh no, there's no way. We had 2 Set, a Karma, a well, I know we had 4 Yees, which puts us 7, and then a Kaisa, right? So we had 4 Yees, which Yi did really well because Yee's adapted to the meta, just like this Garen adapted to the meta, did really well. Kaisa didn't win, and it's really cool to see decks adapting to the meta, adapting to Kaisa. I have a lot of hopes for the NA meta, just meta in general, by the time tournaments come out, so make sure to go follow me over on Metafy and go subscribe so you can see all my all the prep videos that we do. Like I said, there's at least 2 scrim videos out for the subscribers. You'll get one once a week. They're usually like an hour to hour and a half long of just the private scrim sessions between me and my scrim partners. Like this last time we played new decks, we went decks into the meta, like these Chinese meta, the Chinese winning list and everything, played the decks that did well over there, kind of analyzed them a little bit. You got to hear our thoughts on it. Super sick. You want to prepare for the North American tournament scene? We already have 3 $10,000 cash tournaments announced. On top of that, we have 2 other $5,000 tournaments that are attached to one of the 10K, so it's like a 20K weekend overall. And then there is still the official Riot regional that's going to be announced, plus a couple other tournaments that are going to be announced for sure that I know of. So it's a very exciting time. You want to do that. You want to prepare for it right now. Don't be like everyone else and wait till November 1st or October 31st, November 1st to prepare for a tournament happening on November 20th, right? Don't give yourself a 3-week time period to prepare. Start preparing now. Give yourself, 6 weeks, twice to 3 times as long to prepare and really become ready for it. So that's all for this video. Garen rocks. I'll see you guys in the next one.